Hey guys, how you doing? Just getting home from my groceries. Just picked up some eggs, really. I found out the other day that I'm gluten intolerant, or I have a gluten allergy, right? Something like that. My dad told me about it, that he had it, and he said, chances are good you've got it too. And so I just decided to just don't eat any wheat for a little while. And it's only been 3 days. And I feel like $1,000,000, man. I feel like, holy cow, is this how normal people feel? Is this how you're supposed to feel? You're supposed to have energy, you're supposed to be moving around, moving and grooving? For real, I feel like, how was I living before? Holy cow. So, and, the way I think, I'm always capitalism on the brain. And I realize, I'm slowly poisoning myself with wheat, right? Every time I eat a piece of bread or consume a little bit of gluten, right? I'm steadily poisoning myself. And that's exactly what we're doing with this system, It's just like a steady drip of poison. And when I was eating the gluten, I didn't really understand what it meant to have energy and to have all of this kind of stuff. And so I'm on the other side of it. And I feel like that's exactly how it is for people living in a capitalist system. They're consuming this poison, that it's like a drip poison that's coming into their consciousness, messing them up. But it's how they've lived their whole life. And so they don't know anything but. Right? They don't know what it's like to live outside of a capitalist structure, and they are trained not to imagine it, and they don't have an imagination to be able to imagine it. And so they think that they're living this, we're living our best life here in this capitalist system. We wake up every morning, go to a place we barely tolerate or hate, right? Meanwhile, burning the bones of our ancestors in order to make this whole system go. It's insane when you actually think about it, when you actually state it as cleanly as that. That yeah, we're burning a finite resource, which incidentally is the bones of our ancestors, right? Compressed into an ooze that we use to make cars go fast. Why? No reason. No reason, really. Shuffle some paperwork around, sign some deals. Oh, very important stuff. Very important stuff that no one will care about in a day. Anyway. The big news going around is that Doug Ford is doing kind of a soft lockdown. We hit 920 cases. 920 cases, highest we've ever been. Creeping up to that 1,000 mark. We can do it, Doug. We can do it. We can hit 1,000. Let's go. We'll be the best. And so, Doug Ford's doing regional lockdowns, only doing lockdowns on restaurants for dining, movie theaters, as well as gyms. So I call this a soft lock. It's a very tepid, limp kind of response. And I think it's just so obvious that they're obviously scapegoating Thanksgiving. They're using Thanksgiving as a sacrificial goat in order to say, when cases continue going up, they get to go all those kids from university and all those people, they went and saw their parents, They went and saw their parents. Tisk, tisk. It's what they always do. Those millennials, those young kids, they're messing everything up. Tisk, tisk. And then they'll literally be like, let's go do a Timmy's run. Man, there's a lot of people here. What do you think is going to spread the thing more, right? Do you think it's going to be people gonna go interact with their families? You know, maybe keep a social distance, but actually go see them. Do you think that's going to spread it? Or do you think it's these people who you're putting in retail and store and restaurant environments who are interacting with several hundred hundred strangers a day? Which one do you think is actually going to spread it? What you think? Oh yeah, we're gonna go say hi to our moms. Oh yeah, that'll really spread it around. Certainly not jamming kids into overcrowded schoolrooms. Like the obvious scapegoating. Like it's plain that's what it's gonna do, right? We're gonna blame Thanksgiving instead of capitalism. We're gonna say those irresponsible kids instead of saying, hey, the structure that we're under is making us choose between risking our lives facing a deadly disease or starvation. That's the choice that's in front of workers. And the Trudeau government has abandoned us, right? We can't just walk off the job. We can't just leave because then we don't get support. We don't get EI, right? That's intentional. We can't, we can't actually form an organization or form an organized resistance to this absurdity. Because, you'll just get fired. And if you get fired, then you can't get EI as well. So the support systems exist specifically to support the people who play ball with the capitalists. That if the capitalists go, thank you for your service, but we're going to lay you off, then you get your EI. But if you quit or are fired, then you are abandoned. That's a structural problem and a reason why I think we need a basic income. Big shock. I'm a big supporter of that. Along those lines, Trudeau announces he is going to fund more money for food shelters, right? This is along the same lines as when he said, we're going to spend $1 billion to convert hotels into housing for the homeless, right? There's plenty of housing for the homeless, right? You just don't want to disrupt the capitalists' casino game of turning our housing market into a gambling commodity, right? You don't want to actually confront capitalists. You don't want to actually say to them, hey, you're worthless. Let's get rid of you and actually just house the homeless. Instead, you're going to play this game where you're saying, yeah, look at how much we're helping the homeless by bailing out. It's a bailout for the hotel industry, gussied up to look like something we're doing to help the homeless, when really what you're doing is you're just turning these places into shelters. So you're just funding a system that doesn't work, and we know it doesn't work. And it's the same thing with the food banks. And what's ironic about the food bank situation, so they're giving more money to the food banks, which on the surface, right, if you're a liberal and you don't actually think about these things, on the surface seems like a good idea, and seems even altruistic or compassionate, right? The thing is that the food banks of Canada themselves have said that food banks should not exist. We should get rid of them and replace the food banks of Canada with a basic income. This is you can go to their site. You can see it. They have endorsed a basic income. They support a basic income. They think that the food banks of Canada can be replaced with a basic income, which completely makes sense, right? Like, instead of hiring people to organize food, make sure the food is safe, right? Distribute the food, instead of paying rent on a building, right? Or a property tax on a building, or maintenance on a building, right? Like, instead of any of that, you can just do away with the enterprise completely and use the money that you're using to fund all of that to fund a basic income. Like, give the money directly to the people. The institutions for food distribution exist, right? We can have a discussion about how we want those those institutions to be organized. Like, the idea that our food distribution network is privately owned is offensive to me. It's deeply offensive to me that the people responsible for taking care of food distribution are not public servants, right? I mean, Galen Weston has been pegged in price gouging scandals like several times, right? And of course, when that happens, it's a little slap on the wrist. It's, oh, Galen, right? Because for the elites, it's for the wealthy and for the elites, it's a little shell game, right? It's a little, oh, how roguish, you know. You're gouging, you know, disabled mothers. You're gouging the elderly. You're gouging workers that are barely paying bills, right? With your price fixing scandals. Oh, that Galen, right? Yeah, oh, that Galen. He should be in a prison cell, and we should remove all of his assets. Like, fuck this guy. Fuck the Westons. I can't believe that, like, the system is obviously decrepit. The system is obviously decrepit. It's so obvious. Like, I've said it before on this channel. It bears repeating, right? If 10 people got washed up on an island and they all sat down and one guy said, okay, so one of you organize and go get coconuts, right? The other one go get some wood. Someone else set to build the shelter. You go get the water, right? And you know, you go do this, you go do that, all the way down the line. So 9 of them were doing tasks. And then they turned around and said to the guy who was talking, okay, well, what are you going to do? And he said, I'll supervise. How do you think that would fly? That's exactly what's happening, man. Like, that's exactly what's happening. Like, our whole system is completely corrupt. Like, we should be going into straight lockdowns. We should be locked down. China, for God's sakes, the originator of this disease, hasn't had a case in a month. Right? That's not necessarily true. I think they did have like a couple of cases that were asymptomatic, right? They quarantined them and everything was fine. So the place where it happened, the place where it started, the originator nation, has now got this completely under control, right? In the meantime, we are struggling away because our entire system is designed to fail. And it's designed to put workers at odds with their own interests, right? We have to choose between face a deadly pandemic, face the risk of catching a deadly disease, or starve, right? That's the choice that we've been handed. And we're not being given an alternative. Certainly not by the conservatives, and certainly not by the liberals, right? That the liberals made the right choice at the beginning, but now they've backed right off of it. And it's taking the populace for fucking ever to figure it out. For fucking ever to figure it out. That, like, we're gonna end up going through another election. So I'm gonna be saying all this for months yet. We're gonna be going through Christmas like this. We're gonna be talking all about this, right? We're gonna be just going right through all of this. And we're going to go through the next election, and maybe during that election, people will be like, hey, you know, I liked it when the liberals did that CERB thing, but, you know, that second wave happened, and they really did fuck all. They just, like, abandoned the shit out of us, which is exactly what they're doing, and exactly what they're going to continue doing, because they work for capitalists, they don't work for you. Like, as soon as the liberals were confident that they could be removed from the disease themselves, from the virus themselves, right? Initially, they just did a CERB because they were like, oh man, rich people can get this. Rich people can get this. Everybody, just run, scatter. Rich people can get it. But now they're pretty confident that they're protected, right? They're behind their gates. They're like, okay, yeah, the rich people are okay now, right? Okay, rich people are safe now. So that's good. So go back to work. Go back to work, workers. Go back to work. Go back to work. Right? Oh, yeah. Second wave. Okay, yeah. But we're behind the gate, so it doesn't matter. Right? That's liberalism for you. That's what liberalism looks like these days. I just think it's absolutely fucking disgusting. And honestly, I just think the NDP are being weak. Like, we should be passing a basic income. That's the legislation that should be getting passed right now. The NDP should be pounding on a basic income. But instead, and same story with the Greens. Like, they should be pounding on this, right? They should be just every day. They should be saying, where's the basic income? Why don't we have a basic income? Why are we abandoning people? Why are we putting people in harm's way? Why are we risking lives? Why are we doing this? That should be constant. It should be like a drum beat. Instead of that, the stories we're getting coming out of the Green Party are like, oh, you know, our leader's up for re-election. Can you not run a candidate? Like, what the fuck is that? Like, come on. And like, the NDP, like, literally, Jagmeet Singh stands up and says, we should tax rich people more. That's the news story that he's pushing forward. It's like, yeah, we know. Like, we know. Everybody's in support of that. It's a very popular idea. You're just saying it because it's popular. And you're not actually pushing forward an idea, or you don't seem to have a vision, right? And it seems pretty clear and it seems pretty obvious. So it's just like one of those things where why is our political leadership so just like empty of ideas? Why are they not actually interested in ideas? Like, the last idea that actually took hold of the populace was legalizing marijuana. Like, that's where we're at. We're literally at, like, let's make it so that people don't go to jail for having a plant that they can grow in a pot. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah. We're going to get owned so hard, dude. We're going to get owned so hard. And you've got, like, articles like Justin Trudeau saying, oh, he's prepared for disruptions because of the U.S. You're not prepared. He's not fucking prepared. He's a drama teacher. He's not prepared for that shit. That shit's going to come down. He's going to get smoked by it. Because no one can be prepared for that. It's absolutely ridiculous and it's absolutely absurd what's going to happen one way or the other, whether Trump wins or not, right? It's going to be an absolute cavalcade of total and complete nonsense one way or the other. And all the liberals are doing is just chest thumping. They're just pretending like they know what's going on, while simultaneously pretending they're not complete vassals of the United States, right? Like, we're just the arms dealers for the war, right? For the war on terror, right? We're just the arms dealers for the war on terror. Like, we sell weapons to the Saudis, we sell weapons to whoever wants to buy them, right? It's becoming like our number one export. Oh, jeez. Anyway. I could use some good news, man. I could use some good news. I really could. You know, like, here's a touch of good news. If you've made it this far, I've actually written. I wrote a chapter of the story that I'm writing. I think it's going to be called Boat. And I would describe it as an absurdist fairy tale. Because boy, are we ever in absurd times. Alright, guys. This is the end of me. I hope you're all doing well out there. I know I'm feeling way, way better. Don't just try taking gluten out of your diet. I don't know. You could be gluten intolerant too. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not your mom. You can do what you want, right? I hope you guys are all having fun out there. I hope you're laughing. I hope you're finding some outlet. Have a smoke, have a drink, high five your neighbor, go talk to your neighbor. All right, I love you all. Good luck.